أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين، سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our fasting, our prayers and our efforts in this month of Ramadan, and help us as we try and purify our souls and our hearts in this month through the action of fasting, not just physically but also inshallah in all aspects of our life. The discussion that we had intended, in fact, is some reflections of on Nahjul Balagha, or on the words of Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayh, as we approach to the martyrdom of the Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayh in this month of Ramadan. The first thing I wanted to mention, in fact, before I get into any words of the Imam, is the fact that Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayh is considered by all Muslim and non-Muslim, Arab and non-Arab, linguists and thinkers as one of the greatest thinkers of mankind, the history of mankind. One of the greatest people in his words of wisdom and in his literature. The literature that he has left humanity is something that every nation, every intellectual nation has appreciated and has learned from. It is very sad for us as followers of Ahlul Bayt that we know very little of the words of Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayh. Many of the problems, many of the controversies, many of the concerns that we go through in our lives, many of the questions that people ask, many of the main dilemmas that people face in their life, believe it or not, has been addressed in the words of Amirul Mu'mineen and the Ma'sumeen, our infallible Imams, the Prophet and the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, has been addressed in one way or another. Often when people ask a question or raise a concern, oftentimes the answer is simply a riwayah. You just read to them a riwayah, a narration, and that narration has the same question and the answer to the question. I have found this several times where people ask the question, and when we read the narration, whether it be a question of theology, question in faith, question about infallibility. An example of that was recently we had a discussion, in fact, on the infallibility of the prophets, and Imam Rida alayhi salam has given a complete and elaborate answer in a debate between him and the cursed Ma'mun of Bani al-Abbas, a very elaborate answer on each ayah in the Quran of the prophets that was misunderstood by people and accuses the prophets of being sinful, wal-'ayadu billah, or on the wrong path, astray, and so on. And the Imam responded to every single one of them. Yet until today, you have followers of Ahlul Bayt, and this is where I say, you know, we follow in name, we have labels, but we don't really follow. Followers of Ahlul Bayt who question the isma of the Anbiya and have not learned the simple words of the answers of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'in. One of the concerns that I want to share tonight, in fact, is regarding al-qada and al-qadar. Destiny, basically, what is decreed and what is destined. And the reason I want to share it is because we had, some of you were with us when we had questions when we were doing the Quran reflections. During the Quran reflections, some of you were with us and we had a conversation over, you know, the qada and qadar. It was in fact in Surah Al-Kahf over the story of Nabiullah Musa ala nabina wa alihi wa alayhi salam and Al-Khidr when they walked and what they did when Al-Khidr in fact killed that boy. And when he killed him, Nabiullah Musa was questioning it. In fact, he questioned it in a very harsh manner. You know, this is, you know, you're committing, almost telling him you're committing a sin or a munkar, basically. And then he did not respond right then and there. When time came, he responded to him, and he told him that that boy was to be an undutiful or perhaps not religious or not God-fearing, and therefore, because the parents deserved better, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to replace him with something better. And this is often questioned, this part of the story in fact is often questioned, and that's where we got into the discussion of al-qada and al-qadar. So I want to share with you a riwayah from the Amir al-Mu'mineen, or a conversation with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi afdal salawat wa tahiyyat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. One old man who had participated in Siffin with Amir al-Mu'mineen, after they departed, he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, أخبرنا يا أمير المؤمنين عن مسيرنا إلى الشام أكان بقضاء من الله وقدر. Tell me, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, we walked to Sham, to Siffin basically, but the intention was to go to Sham. Our walking, was it through qada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His qadar, through His decree, through His destiny? قال نعم يا أخا أهل الشام. He said, yes. والذي فلق الحبة وبرأ النسمة ما وطأنا موطئا ولا هبطنا واديا ولا علونا تلعة إلا بقضاء من الله وقدره. He said, we did not, basically I will be paraphrasing, not direct translation. We did not take a step, we did not go up or down or do anything during that journey except that it was in the qada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His qadar. So فقال الشامي عند الله تعالى أحتسب عنائي إذن يا أمير المؤمنين وما أظن أن لي أجرا في سعي إذا كان الله قضاه علي وقدره لي. He says, then how would I expect a reward for it, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen? How should I expect a reward for this action if it was already decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How should I, or why should I expect any reward for my actions and my striving, my sa'i, all what I did? فقال أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام إن الله قد أعظم لكم الأجر على مسيركم وأنتم سائرون. He has not only rewarded you, He has made great. You know, when we say أعظم الله أجوركم or عظم الله أجوركم, may God make great and increase your rewards. He had increased your rewards as you walked. وعلى مقامكم وأنتم مقيمون. Not only when you're walking, but also when you are sleeping or staying at any station that you stayed in. ولم تكونوا في شيء من حالاتكم مكرهين. You were never, this is the key, you were never forced in any part of your journey to do what you did. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that this happens does not mean that you are forced to do it. ولم تكونوا في شيء من حالاتكم مكرهين ولا إليها مضطرين ولا عليها مجبرين. You were not forced, you were not persuaded. You were basically, in all the cases, you had the choice. An example of that, a similar example, is when Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says to a man who asked the same question, he said, when you walk and you get into a position where you have to decide whether you want to go right in a, on an intersection or left, he said, do you think and decide? He said, yes. He said, therefore you have the ikhtiyar, you have the choice. It is not by force. فقال الشامي فكيف يكون ذلك والقضاء والقدر ساقانا وعنهما كان مسيرنا وانصرافنا. He says, how would that work when qada and qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drove us through our journey and even our return was through it. فقال له عليه السلام ويحك يا أخا أهل الشام لعلك ظننت قضاء لازما وقدرا حتما لو كان كذلك لبطل الثواب والعقاب. He says, do not ever think that his qada is basically forcing you. Otherwise, there is no point of reward and punishment. لبطل الثواب والعقاب وسقط الوعد والوعيد والأمر من الله عز وجل والنهي منه. He says all the ordering is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He tells us the do's and don'ts. Amr and nahi. Do this and don't do this. It's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet, when you do what you do, it is through your choice that you do it. He says, والأمر والنهي من الله عز وجل منه وما كان المحسن أولى بثواب الإحسان من المسيء ولا المسيء أولى بعقوبة المذنب من المحسن. He says, if they were forced, then the one who did good should not be rewarded, or the one who did good, his reward is just as much as the one who did bad. Why? Because the one who did bad was following the qada and qadar, and the one who's doing good following the qada. So both of them are the same. So then he says, تلك مقالة عبدة الأوثان وحزب الشيطان. This is the statement, or this is the belief of those who believe in shaitan, the group of shaitan. إن الله أمر عباده تخييرا ونهاهم تحذيرا. He ordered them, but he gave them the choice to obey or to disobey. And he also forbid certain things from them as he was warning them, not that he would force them to do certain things or stop them from doing the munkar. وَكَلَّفَ يَسِيرًا. And he has made the taklif on them, the obligation, easy. وَأَعْطَى عَلَى الْقَلِيلِ كَثِيرًا. It's such a beautiful statement. And he rewards for the little that they do a lot. He gives them, يَا مَنْ يُعْطِلْ كَثِيرًا بِالْقَلِيلِ, we say in the dua, that he gives a lot for the little that we do. وَلَمْ يُرْسِلْ الْأَنْبِيَاءَ لَعِبًا وَكَثِيرًا ولم يطع مكرها ولم يعص مغلوبا ولم يكلف عسيرا. He is not obeyed by forcing people. He did not get disobeyed by him not having the power to stop them. Pay attention. Maghluba. That I disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, therefore I have power against him. No. Wal-ayadu billah. He says, وَلَمْ يُكَلِّ, and he did not make the obligation difficult. وَلَمْ يُرْسِلِ الْأَنْبِيَاءَ. Prophets would be a waste, because if he is going to control people and he would control people to do good and certain people to do bad, there's no point of message and there's no point of the reward and punishment or the day of judgment. And then he says, وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاءَ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا بَاطِلًا ذَلِكَ ظَنُّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَوَيْلُ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنَ النَّارِ. I want to keep it brief. The narration continues on and on, but we have little time. So what is the case? The issue, my brothers and sisters, with qada and qadar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us obligations, and He has forbidden certain things from us. And He has given us the right or the ability to choose for ourselves whether we want to fulfill the obligations or, wal-ayadu billah, we want to disregard them, whether we want to stay away from muharramat or we seek refuge to Him from getting indulging into the sins and the munkar. He has given us the right to choose which path we want to take. And according to what He has given us, and according to what we act, there are consequences. This is on the formative level of this world, of this universe. There are consequences for every action. Every action has a reaction. There are consequences for it. On the formative level, when He created the samawat and ard, He has decreed certain things to have certain results. And then, based on how we act, we get ourselves exposed to either His reward or His punishment, either the positive consequences or the negative consequences. An example of that, and I've shared this before, whether you are Muslim or non-Muslim, if you are good to your parents, you have long life. If you are undutiful to your parents, your life is cut. It has no, that rule on a formative level has no discrimination. If you do certain sins, then you deserve certain children. Certain, wal-ayadu billah, with sins deserve bad children. Out of a sudden, when you seek His forgiveness, He is forgiving, is He not? Then He may change that. يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتُ. He may change that. And that is in fact bid'ah, which is another discussion. Another night, inshallah, we'll discuss it. So He may change things. And as in the story of this young boy, his parents at the time that they had him, perhaps that's what they deserved. Due to their actions or lack of certain actions, that's what they deserved. Came the time that they perhaps seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they deserved better. Therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that he is taken. Now the method that he's taken, as I said, Al-Khidr, some of our ulama and mufassirin, they say he's equivalent to Al-Qadar. It's such a beautiful analogy, and if some of you were with us. In the sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that this son is to be taken and replaced with something better. That could have happened through an accident. It happened through the hands of Al-Khidr. He was performing the qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In all parts of the story, in fact. We question Al-Khidr because we do not know the qadar. Had we been in the place of Musa, ala nabina wa alayhi salam, and he is a prophet, and he is infallible, but he questioned it because what? Al-Khidr told him, وَكَيْفَ تَسْتَطِيعُ أَن تَصْبِرَ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. How can you be patient over something that you have no knowledge of? If you do not know, you will not be able to be patient. We know, however, when it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should know, as believers, as Muslims, we should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed it, therefore it is for our better, in fact it is best for us, whatever it is. In that situation, Al-Khidr did what he did. In our situations, a calamity, a difficulty, a problem, a death, some, I don't know, bankruptcy, whatever it is that we go through in life, perhaps that in itself is the best thing that ever happened to us. What we have to do, however, does that mean that we sit down and do nothing? This is where I want you to all pay attention. We have probably a minute or two, and I want to summarize this. Does that mean that since it is all in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we sit and do nothing? We leave it up to Him, we do nothing. Is that what it's suggesting? Obviously not. Obviously that is not what it means. Then how do we combine them? That is what one of the examples that one of our Imams was standing, leaning by a wall that was not strong. And therefore the Imam, fearing that the wall may fall, moved. An ignorant man said to him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, you're running from God's destiny? You're running from God's destiny? If it's destined for the wall to fall on you, it'll fall on you. If it's not destined, it won't fall on you. So why are you running away? And I say to people, in other words, close your eyes, and during peak hour traffic, go to the highway, one of the very busy highways, close your eyes and walk across and say, if it's destined for me to be hit, I'll be hit. If it's not, I won't be hit. This is the same thing. Do you see how it works? The Imam says to him, I escaped from his qada to his qadar. God has given decrees that certain things have certain consequences. If I take certain actions, they have certain reactions. They have certain consequences. I can expose myself to those consequences, or I can expose myself to the other consequences. It is up to me. I decide. I want to be dutiful or undutiful. I want to be charitable. As-sadaqatu tadfa'ul bala. It removes even bala, sadaqah. Something was going to happen to my family, and I pay sadaqah, I feed the orphans, I help the needy, and out of a sudden that's taken away. That's up to me. Either I do it or I don't do it. The consequences, however, are all by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's His qadar. And the knowledge is another one that inshallah one day we will discuss, that He knew which path I will take, and does that mean we were forced? Inshallah another night we will discuss that part. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us more and more knowledge and be amongst His ibad al-ulama, those who have the real khashya, the real fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Him to give us, to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.